After the Madrid derby, coach of Atletico Madrid, Diego Simeone, came out and said emphatically that Barcelona are the best team in the Spanish La Liga. That didn't sit down well with Real Madrid fans who see their team sit still at the top of the Spanish La Liga. With that, I welcome you to another exciting edition of Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebole. So we have a lot in store for you on today's show. From Spain to England, where we saw some very, very interesting games in the FA Cup. In fact, an upset. Plymouth Argyle sending Liverpool out of the competition, the oldest football competition in history. Also in the Italian Serie A, it's neck to neck, Inter Milan and Fiorentina. Of course, the Super Bowl 59 happened in the city of New Orleans. All of this and so much more on the show. Don't forget, we have the Tipsters Corner for you, where we give you all of the tips going down this weekend from the world of football. Once again, it is Sports Pizza. If you're joining us for the very first time, my name is Edwin Onyebole, and I do this in company of Abe David. Let's go on a short break. When we return, I'll bring David on board, and together we'll dissect all that we have in store for you. Welcome back. This is Sports Pizza. Edwin and David in the building. David, welcome. How you doing?
Yeah, Edwin, I'm good. Pleasure to be here as always. I'm fully refreshed this week. Over the weekend, I took the break that Arsenal also took. Arsenal is somewhere in Dubai.
You didn't follow them to Dubai?
No, I wanted to sneak, but they didn't let me. But hey, I joined them in spirit. For the first time in a long time, watching other teams play and my team not being involved, I actually enjoyed the football. All the emotional, baggage we've had to endure. Put it aside.
All right, let's start with the comment made by Diego Simeone. He said, after the Madrid derby, FC Barcelona are the best team in the Spanish La Liga. Was that a jibe at Real Madrid, or there was substance to that statement?
I think there's a lot of substance to it. I mean, when you look, considering one thing you cannot argue about is the attack that they have. They have the best attack in all of Europe this season. The numbers that the attackers are producing. Lewandowski has hit 30 plus goals and assists this season. Rafinha 30 plus goals and assists this season. Lamine Yamal not too far behind. So for that, then look at the other aspects of that team. Pedri is coming into his own this season and he's actually producing the numbers. Frankie de Jong is back. The likes of Casado, the likes of Fermin Lopez contributing as well. And in defense also, you have Jules Koundé contributing. They have, Alex Balde doing well. The likes of Kubasi, Inigo Martinez. They have options all around. I think the goalkeeping is the only place where they have a little bit of that. But generally, they have a solid squad.
But Real Madrid's at top of the table. If the best team in Spain is not at the top of the table, then where's merit in that statement?
I think for me, he's not looking at it based on just what the table is saying, but based on, when you look at the peak that Barcelona have hit this season, I don't think Madrid have hit anything close to that peak.
But
in terms
sorry to cut you in, David. If Barcelona's peak hasn't taken them to the summit of the table in this moment, how then are they the best team? Hey, don't forget, this was a team a couple of weeks ago that went on a terrible run of form in the league. So let's make sense of it. Is it a now thing, or it's the totality of the entire season? I think
it's a now thing, considering the fact that they started the season on a very high note and they were blowing teams apart, and they had this sizable lead at that point in the season. Then they lost it. They went through a bad patch, and now it seems like they are turning the corner again. I think it's looking at it. Atletico Madrid have not gone through a bad patch, which we usually expect that teams to have a bad patch. Real Madrid also have not gone through that much of a bad patch. They managed to stay largely on trouble. So I think he's looking at it that when those teams suffer their bad patch, Barcelona are entering into a good patch. Probably Barcelona will now eventually overtake them at the top of the
All right, from Spain we head straight to the German Bundesliga. Is it all but over for Leverkusen? They drew with Wolfsburg, ended goalless. That cloak of invisibility, David, it's over. Last season, we saw a lot of late comebacks from Bayer Leverkusen to not only preserve their unbeaten run, but also get them points where they didn't necessarily play well. But hey, we haven't seen a lot of that this season.
Yeah, I think so. And the painful thing for Alonso is they've not lost majority of their big players. So you cannot say it's down to them losing key players. It's just the players mentally have tired out. The efforts they put in last season, winning their first ever Bundesliga title, doing it unbeaten. Bayern Munich also are now beginning to actually exert their dominance this season. I think Leverkusen are maybe concerned to the fact that we are not going to be able to, retain that title. Let's just finish as high as we can.
Will the title challenge be effectively over this weekend? It is Bayer Leverkusen versus Bayern Munich at the B Arena.
Yeah, I think so. I think Leverkusen are facing a very huge task this weekend. I think Bayern Munich are coming to this game and they have not much to do. They have a good buffer at the top of the table.
Yep.
A good result, even a draw would give them sizable psychological advantage going into the end of the season.
All right, from the German Bundesliga, let's quickly go to England. David, it's all about the magic of the FA Cup. Liverpool lost to Plymouth Argyle by a lone goal. Plymouth, by the way, are in the championship, rooted to the bottom of the championship. But coming into this game, they had some sort of good form. They won 1, draw 1, 4 points from a possible 6. Some would say maybe that gave them the springboard to get this win against Liverpool. But David, when we do a postmortem of this loss for Liverpool, would you attribute it to the magic of the FA Cup in that, hey, you get to see upset? Unfortunately for Liverpool, they were on the receiving side of the upset. Or there were too many changes to the side?
I think for me, there were too many changes. I think, Arne Slot came into this season and he took a very big gamble, not adding names to that squad. They added Madashvili, the goalkeeper, who they loaned back to Valencia, added, Chiesa, who has not featured regularly this season. So these were the only 2 additions. With the squad that phased out last season, we saw them did the league till February and then they fizzled out. How Slot was thinking was going to be able to manage this team again. I think in all the competitions they were competing for, I think for that reason, the fact they didn't renew their squad this season is going to be a major disadvantage. For
Chelsea Football Club, they're also out of the FA Cup. They lost to Brighton 2-1. For Brighton, it was their first win at home, I think since
November when they beat City.
Yeah, when they beat City. Very terrible form Brighton have been. But for Chelsea, more importantly, David, winless in about 5 or 6 away games. It feels like the season is beginning to unravel for Enzo Maresca's side. What has gone wrong? This was a side that was blowing teams apart. This was a team that was scoring, creating chances. Cole Palmer was on fire, but all of that seemed to have fizzled out.
Yeah, I think for me, you looked at Maresca, fine, he had a clear way he wanted to do, but I watched a lot of their games, the early part of it, even when they were blowing teams apart. Their games felt like tennis matches too much. It was back and forth. And I said, if you can't continue with this trajectory, look at them and they are not, when you watch a team like Arsenal, watch a team like Liverpool, defensively, structurally, they look solid. You know that, okay, this is a team that's going to be difficult to break down. But Chelsea are very open, and that openness is going to be exploited more times than none, and that's where they've come to this point. They've now gone the other side of the graph and they're beginning to relax. And
for Manchester United, it was a hard-fought, painful, terrible third-peak performance against Leicester City. Not so much for Tottenham Hotspur, who got knocked out by Aston Villa. More pressure on Ange Postecoglou. And it takes me to the game at the Tottenham Stadium this weekend, David. Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester United. 2 struggling teams, 2 teams that, coming into the season, we didn't know what to expect from them, but they are both delivered on the popular opinion that, hey, both sides are not ready to either challenge for the Premier League or even qualify for the Champions League. What does a loss mean for either coach?
I think for Ange Postecoglou, what a loss mean it will not be much, because I think right now Tottenham fans, Tottenham board are concerned with the fact that the league title is the league season is almost done and dusted. They are just trying to finish as high as they can this season and get as much wins as they can. Postecoglou has he came out this season and he made a bold statement that he wins a title in his second season. They are now down to only 1 title, which is the Europa League. So I think that's where a lot of focus is going to be put. He has had injury issues to deal with, so that's what scuppered their entire league campaign. So they are resigned to not making European places via the league. I think for United, for Amorim, I think losses at this point in time don't really. He has made it clear that it's not how the result we get, it's how we perform. We are trying to get somewhere. So I think losses at this point are not seen with the same prism of, oh, it's a disastrous. It's just how did the team perform in those losses.
All right, there's so many top games going down across Europe this weekend, from England to Spain to Italy, not forgetting the German Bundesliga. And it's time for the stats world. David, what do you have for us on the stats today?
So this week I have some very interesting statistics for us. I'm going to take you first to Spain, where, Real Madrid have been complaining about how they've lost Toni Kroos and they lost his control in midfield. But you need to realize that in the last 3 games for Real Madrid, Dani Ceballos has attempted 100+ passes. And in those games, he has only missed 7 of those passes. Wow. So the control that they've been looking for is actually probably in the squad. So I think it's something they can rely on going forward this season. Also in England, Chris Wood, we all know what he's been doing for Nottingham Forest and how good they've been. But let me put it into numbers. He has scored 17 goals from a total of 27 shots on target.
Wow.
That is maximum efficiency. I don't think any striker across Europe has been able to produce that kind of efficiency. And also in the Liverpool game, we saw how much they toiled. But to put it into numbers, Nikola Katic, the centre-back for Plymouth, completed 11 headed clearances in that game. That's the most against Liverpool since Stefan Savic did for Atletico Madrid. So it tells you that Liverpool, at a point, they went to aerial bombardment and it didn't work out because they met a brick wall. So Liverpool have a lot of work to do going forward this season. Also for Wolverhampton Wanderers, everybody talked about their main man, Matheus Cunha. We saw Arsenal were linked to him in January, even though we were looking for a striker. To tell you that he's not a striker, in their game in the FA Cup, he was the first player in all of Europe this season to complete 5 plus shots on target and also 5 tackles. So he's an all-round player. And when you get him, you get somebody who all-round. So in the summer, he just signed a new deal, but in the summer, he has a buyout clause. So teams who are looking for somebody who's an all-rounder, you jump on him.
All right, at this point, we need to go on a short break. When we return, there's more on the other side. This time, we're starting off with the Super Bowl 59. The Philadelphia Eagles, yes, got their revenge against the Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome back to the second half of the show. If you're joining us for the very first time, this is Sports Pizza, a sports show where we give you nothing but the absolute best when it comes to sports analysis, information, education, and we throw in a bit of light-hearted entertainment. I do this in company of David, and David is still here with me. David, let's quickly run through the Super Bowl 59, the city of New Orleans, of course, one of the biggest sporting spectacles in the world. I'm going to ignore the debate of which is the biggest, the Super Bowl or the World Cup final. I don't want to get into that conversation. But let's talk about the final itself. The Kansas City Chiefs were looking to repeat the first team to do that in the history of the NFL. But hey, there was a team standing in front of them, arguably the best defensive team in the last couple of seasons, the Philadelphia Eagles, and ended 40-22 in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah,
in what was a repeat of the 2023 final, where it was much closer. It was a 38-35 victory for the Kansas City Chiefs in that one. I think what really hurt the City Chiefs in this final was how they started. They started very poorly, and the Eagles came into this game on the back of a lot of talk. How this season they've not been at their best. Defensively they've been solid, but attacking wise they've not produced the numbers. But I think Jalen Hurts, their quarterback, he came into this final and talked about the fact that you talk about how you want to revenge, but he didn't put it central in that, but it was somewhere at the back of his mind how they needed to respond in this final, and they gave a fantastic performance. To now couple the fact that Patrick Mahomes, who is the quarterback for
he had a terrible game.
To choose to have your worst game of the season in the final. I think he just told the entire story of that final. As at the third quarter, they are yet to register on it, but they are yet to even make any attacking forays into the final half of the Eagles, and that told the whole story of how that final went. All right,
still with the final, David. What did you make of Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance?
I think for me, when he came on and performed the humble, Arsenal fans know that song. That was the song that was played. The DJ at the Emirates played that song after the 5-1. So he just brought back those memories. But Kendrick Lamar, the all-round performer, entertainer that he is. All
right, away from the NFL, let's head home, David. Before we do the NPFL, it's something that made the headlines but has been dismissed the last couple of days was that Carney Chukwuemeka of Chelsea and Leslie Ugochukwu at Southampton have pledged their allegiance to Nigeria. But the official statement from the NFL is that, hey, a player cannot appeal to FIFA for a change of country. It is the job of the NFF to do that. But beyond all of this, are both players good enough to play for the Super Eagles of Nigeria?
I had that conversation with somebody over the course of the weekend. Approach it from two angles. Switching allegiances, I think, is fine. I mean, we need as much legs as we can. But getting called up to the Super Eagles at this point in time right now, I don't think so. For Carney Chukwuemeka, he doesn't have 50 top flight appearances yet. I don't see how that is the level for the Super Eagles. For Ugochukwu as well, he's not even a regular for the under-21 French national team. So there's still a lot of work that those players, that's not the level we want. Unless we want to actually realize that we have dropped our level. These are not the players that the Super Eagles need right now.
Straight to the NPFL, David. Remo Stars, it's just when are they going to be coronated?
Yeah, absolutely. I think at this point, the song they should be playing is the Joy is Coming song, because it's watching them now, it brings a lot of joy. I mean, I'm a Rangers fan, but I cannot just, underestimate what they're actually doing. I watch them, and, it's very interesting what they do. When they first got their promotion with Daniel Gumade, they talked about how he likes his teams to play. And one thing that I've liked about him is tactically he's very sound. You understand what he's trying to do. His full backs are central to his plays. There's no coincidence where their left back, Shane Oguribi, they scored the goal this weekend. But somebody who set pieces, he gets in the box. Now they also had Sadiq Ismail, who got super good score. Also, so full back central to how they play, and they have a striker like Sekou Alimi, who is able to bang in the goals.
Talking about your Rangers, they held Bayelsa United away. Game ended goalless. Niger Tornadoes and Plateau United played out a 1-1 draw. Shooting Stars defeated Bendel Insurance. Shooting Stars up shooting. To my Ibadan fans. Fantastic season for Shooting Stars. I think it's safe to say they'll be back on the continent.
Yeah, I mean, they'll finish second, the best of the lot.
All right, Remo Stars defeated Kano Pillars 2-1. El Kanemi defeated Nasarawa United by a lone goal. Katsina United defeated Heartland by a lone goal. Ikorodu City defeated Kwara United 2-1. Aqua United, a much-needed win for them against an inconsistent Yimba, ended 2-1 in that particular game. Rivers United defeated Lobby Stars by a lone goal, while Abia Warriors smashed Sunshine Stars 3 unreplied goals. And for this weekend, we have some interesting fixtures for you. Kano Pillars host Abia Warriors. Plateau United are up against El Kanemi Warriors. Kwara United host Bayelsa United. Bendel are up against Niger Tornadoes. Sunshine Stars entertain Aqua United. Lobby Stars are up against Katsina United. Nasarawa United host Ikorodu City. Heartland versus Shooting Stars. Rangers versus Remo Stars. A quick one, David. Rangers entertain runaway leaders, Remo Stars. How do you see this playing out?
I think at the Cathedral, I think Rangers will do enough to get a draw. I don't think they'll be able to defeat Remo Stars. Remo Stars are in a good place at this point in time. And
Enyimba host Rivers United in the final game for the weekend. All right, from the MPFL, we'll head straight to entertain you with our video for the week. And when we return, it's going to be Tipsters Corner. We have 3 games for you where David will be giving you some of the best betting tips that you can find anywhere. I hope you enjoyed that video. The scenes, the delirium, the excitement, David, is something that will live and linger on in the memories of the Plymouth fans.
I mean, that's the magic of the FA Cup. We've talked about it and it cannot be explained, but when you see it happen, it's just beautiful to see. All
right, sir, from the magic of the FA Cup, let's go to the Tipsters Corner, where David has 3 games for us. David, let's start from England. Manchester City versus Newcastle. What should punters expect?
I mean, they are calling it the big one, but I don't know how big it is in this grand scheme of things. So Man City have done this season. But I think going into that game, I looked at the numbers. I looked at, Man City has marginal favourites for this one. I think because how much they have to claw this season. But I think for me, going into that game, it's going to be both teams to score. City concede. Newcastle are also able to score. Isak, the man in form. I think both teams to score. Safe bet. Over 1.5 also.
Over 1.5 a safe bet.
If you're looking at the results market, I think you can go for a double chance for Newcastle. I don't think Man City will be able to beat Newcastle in this game.
All right, so X2 for Newcastle. Newcastle are the away side over 1.5. And David, I said, hey, you can also go for both teams to score. In the German Bundesliga at the Bayer Arena, Bayer Leverkusen versus Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I looked at this big game in Germany. I looked at the underlying numbers, and in the last 5 fixtures between both teams, Bayern Munich have not had a good time. They've only won 1 in the last 5 against them. There have been 2 draws actually, but Leverkusen have also won 3. So I think it looks like a Leverkusen, straight win because they have more on the line to lose. So I think they will go for a straight win. They will go all out in this game. A straight win from Bayer Leverkusen. Both teams to score. I mean, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
Over 2.5 as well.
All right, over 2.5, both teams to score. If you are bold, you can go for Bayer Leverkusen to win. If you are not so bold, you can go for Bayer Leverkusen to win either half. And finally, in Italy, we have the Derby d'Italia, Juventus versus Inter Milan.
Yeah, so at the J Stadium, why I mentioned this particular fixture is the fact that Juventus are unbeaten at home this season in the league. So I think Inter Milan will have a difficult attempt in this match. I think you look at the last 5 fixtures between both teams, there have been 2 draws, 2 standout draws. The 4th one, the 1-1. So a draw looks like the likely outcome, because Juventus 13 draws in the league, 13 draws, that's a lot. So you look at it, a draw looks like the actual outcome. You can go for a double chance for Juventus. I don't think they will lose to Inter Milan if you want to go for one team to draw. Then also for the goals market, both teams to score. I think both teams have goals in them, over 1.5 goals. Maybe a 1-1 draw is what I'm looking at in this fixture.
All right, you can go for a goals option over 1.5, both teams to score. You can go for a straight draw, which definitely has value in it. Like David said, if you're not convinced Juventus are unbeaten at home, you can go for Juventus 1x, that is to win or draw. And this is where we drop anchor on today's show. I'm sure you had so much fun with us. Remember to follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are showing on your screens. We have lovely content for you on the YouTube page. David, once again, it's a pleasure doing this with you.
Yeah, same time next week I'll also be here. From David, it's goodbye.
From me, Edwin Onyebolise, au revoir. Do have a sporting weekend.